Over the past several years, I've shared my experience teaching on multiple platforms. You've seen the applications, class prep, and marketing skills for this kind of work. But one thing I've yet to share with you was something that unexpectedly fell in my lap, which is the idea of offering expertise as a private tutor and teaching one-on-one classes without a platform. Hey you guys, and welcome back to my channel. If this is your first time here, please be sure to click that little red subscription button and the bell down below to be updated for each and every future video. Also, if you like this kind of content, please let me know by giving this video a huge thumbs up. Today I want to talk about the idea of private tutoring or teaching one-on-one lessons. Now some teachers do this on platforms like OutSchool and KidPass and offer solely one-on-one type classes, and that's great. If you are an educator who is also looking to teach your own curriculum on various platforms, I will put a different video up above in the cards and down below. It outlines 8 different online teaching platforms where you can offer either group or one-on-one classes. But there are other teachers who want to explore the option of teaching privately and offering only one-on-one type classes, which I get that is totally appealing. When you do teach on platforms, one of the biggest cons is the fact that you will more than likely have to pay a platform fee. For OutSchool, it is 30% and KidPass takes 25%. Some teachers don't want to deal with platform fees. They want to be completely in the driver's seat. They set the schedule, they take care of the pricing, the payroll, everything. That is one of the cons of working with platforms, is they do collect the payments and have kind of a customer service base. But if you are a teacher looking to solely put everything in your hands, here is what I did. I've been doing some sort of tutoring since college, if I'm being completely honest. It started with helping colleagues, classmates, maybe some undergrads with music theory, lessons, methods, and it was just maybe 1 or 2 kids a week, not even on a weekly schedule. It was just whenever they would reach out an email, I would make a time to meet with them at the College of Music. Then in my education, I went straight from undergrad to grad school, where I did act as a TA for 1 or 2 classes during my time, where I would get an email or 2 from students, people wanting help in various classes. It could be somebody that was an undergrad in a class I TA'd. It could, once again, just be somebody that wanted to prepare for an exam, or in music school, you have to give like concerts or juries. So I was helping people out sporadically. I knew nothing about business, but unbeknownst to me, I was handling payroll and scheduling and getting my first taste of what it was like to be an entrepreneur, even though at that time I had no idea what the word entrepreneur was. If I'm being honest, majority of the money I made from tutoring in my college years went to either groceries, or I was a part of a bowling league and it paid for my weekly dues to be the only girl on a college bowling league. More information that you didn't ask for. And then as time went on, I got experience in the performing arts outside of school. If you follow my other channel, I did get a job working on board a cruise ship. If you want to see what life was like working as a singer on board Carnival Cruise Lines, I'll put an entire playlist of my second channel up above in the cards here if you want to see what that looked like well before the pandemic kind of knocked out the entertainment and travel industry. That is what I did. And honestly, between cruise ships and other performing opportunities, I was gaining national and international experience. So when I moved back to land, which feels so weird to say, but I was able to once again start to take on music students, whether it be voice lessons, piano lessons, music theory, public speaking, or audition prep for all the kids that wanted to go to college and wanted to prepare their auditions. The first thing I did was get a job at a music school. Now, this did have us teach one-on-one lessons, but it was kind of like an OutSchool situation where they would take a fee, but they would also take care of like the music room and everything. So I got started with a company. So I did have essentially a platform. But then over time, through word of mouth, my platform students, who I could not teach privately, I had to, in my contract, only teach them through that music school. But if they went and talked to their friends or word of mouth went around, I would get messages, Miss Kristen, my friend Sally takes lessons with you and I want to do that too. Can I? And did I take that girl into the music school where I'd have to pay a platform fee? No, I set it up in my home now, an apartment then, that I had a nice little music space. I also, side note here, did have a license, a background check, so I wasn't just some girl saying like, hey kids, come to my house. But word of mouth really helped me gain my own base of independent students that were mine outside of, platforms. I didn't have to pay money to the music school or essentially a third party to work with those students. Looking back at my calendar, at most I was teaching between 18 to 20 hours a week. And this is well before I did any online. This is before OutSchool, VIP Kid. This was solely in-person private lessons. I had never even been on Zoom at this point in time. But teaching those students independently, whether they be at that music school or privately, led me to meeting the right people, which eventually led to me interviewing for a full-time teaching position. And if you want to see how that turned out, click this video. I did have to cut down my private lessons to take on my full-time job. And then 2020 hit, and like most things, my lessons stopped overnight. Well, essentially speaking, everything stopped overnight. The show that I was in, our honeymoon prep, because I had just gotten married, I was very much a newlywed, like 3 months into marriage. My classroom teaching job was all virtual. Everything was canceled. And there was a big chunk of time that I wasn't teaching any private one-on-one lessons at all. I wasn't seeing kids in person. I had never been on Zoom before. I was teaching with VIP Kid, teaching English on their own platform. But it was during that time that I got into OutSchool, KidPass, Cambly, classes and situations where I did have to learn Zoom. I could teach group classes, I could teach one-on-one, and there was about an 18-month period of time that was what I was exploring, getting better at, improving, learning and meeting more kids and families, and what would work well over Zoom, especially when you teach music classes. A music lesson is something that is very personal in the sense that you are hearing somebody either sing or play an instrument and you want to hear it in real time. You don't want lag, you don't want issues with Zoom. There are other YouTubers, Instagrammers, online teachers that do give tips and tricks on teaching music, and I can say it can be done, but it really takes a lot of preparation and hard work from the teacher to make sure that student doesn't feel like they're missing an element in their lesson because they're, essentially performing and singing to a camera and receiving feedback through a speaker, and the teacher's never actually in the room with them. But over time, you do get better at it. If you are a music teacher wanting to explore this, I absolutely recommend it. Take it one student at a time and collect feedback. About 6 months into my OutSchool journey, I started getting messages from parents on the platform asking me, Kristen, my student really loved your class. Would you ever be willing to teach them one-on-one? And I honestly had only really done group courses on OutSchool, so I just made a little section that was like a one-on-one course offering, and I would put a few slots on my schedule and they would slowly build over time. Now the biggest con, like we mentioned before, is OutSchool takes 30% of your pay. So for example, if I were teaching piano lessons for $10 a lesson, the parent would pay $10 and OutSchool would take $3 of that, 30%, and I would take $7. And 30% is a really big cut, especially when it's one-on-one. If you're teaching 10 kids and they're each paying $10 for that one time, that's a different story. But you as the teacher want to make sure that your time is valued and you're being compensated fairly. And when you have a 30% payout, that can really affect how the teacher wants to charge the class. Are they just going to bite the bullet and charge their regular class prices, or are they going to up the price and have the learner and their families pay for that 30% upcharge? Again, that is up to the discretion of the teacher and the students purchasing the lessons. Now, you guys, please do not take this the wrong way. If you are somebody that wants to teach private lessons on OutSchool, by all means do it. This is just my experience. I went on to OutSchool with the idea and intention of teaching group classes, and in my experience, families did start to ask for one-on-one private lessons. But if you are there and that's your interest, by all means, go ahead and do it. I've got plenty of material and videos on this channel about how to market, meet parents, get feedback, get reviews. This is just my experience with one-on-one teaching and how it worked for me on this platform. If you guys want to see an interview with somebody who does teach solely one-on-one, whether it be on platforms or privately, let me know down below what you would like to see in terms of an interview, bringing somebody onto the channel. I would love to know your feedback on that. And also let me know your thoughts on teaching private lessons on a platform. How do you handle platform fees? What do you do? What is your course of action? I would love to know, once again, down below in the comments. Now, off of platforms, I currently teach 5 private students online and 3 private students that actually come to my home per week. I know these students, I know their families, they know where I used to teach, they know all my certifications, background check. That equates for about 5 to 6 hours a week, depending on the schedules. For example, right now, I am seeing those 3 students in person twice this week because they have an upcoming audition at their high school. So when it is audition time, I will either double their lesson time from half hour to an hour, or I'll see them twice for half hours. It's whatever works in the schedule, honestly. Balancing online group classes, online private tutoring, in-person tutoring, on top of running a YouTube channel and a business and being in musicals. How I found my online students. Now, this is the #1 question I get from teachers in the online space. I want to teach kids, I want to do it on my own, but how do I find them? Without third-party platforms, how do I let my expertise be known? How am I searchable? How can people find me for the services I can offer? Now, in my experience, I started marketing myself as an outschool teacher. I would join Facebook groups, I would follow Instagram pages and Pinterest. I would join these platforms with the intent of sharing my outschool classes. And then over time, I would get messages from families that would say, hey, I saw your post about this outschool class, but do you offer anything privately off of the platform? And these are families that I never taught on any platform, so I am not violating any contractual obligation. The point of the story is, if you can join, let's say, a Facebook group, like for homeschooled kids, you want to teach reading online. You're an online tutor, you teach English, reading, language arts. That's my example. If you go into these Facebook groups, you can offer, hey, you guys, here's my name, my services, here's what I can offer. Let me know if I can help your family, or please let any families know, what I could bring, to their students. There is no shame as long as you're not spamming people or spamming groups. Let people know you are a resource. If a family has a child who is struggling in reading, and maybe the parents don't have the time and there are no programs, you may be the answer to that family's problem. You may be the thing that helps that child develop a love of reading and, improved language arts and English scores. And my last note on this is, again, do make sure that you are not taking students off of platforms and teaching them privately. That, everywhere I've at least taught, is a big no-no. You will violate your contract. So short and sweet, do not do it. My biggest method has honestly been word of mouth. And I know that's not a really solid business model, but if you do good work, people will talk and share you as a resource. And it did not come overnight. This has been over years. When I did a musical, I would put in my bio that, I teach music lessons. So if you have maybe a LinkedIn page or a Facebook page or a website that people can find you on, I'm not saying you have to do musicals to find clients. That's very much not the case. But word of mouth is the biggest thing that has helped for me. And again, I do recommend, you don't have to go out and get your own website, even though I recommend it, but you can have, an Instagram page just for your tutoring business, a Facebook page, a YouTube channel. It could be anything you want. There were some times where I would give free voice lessons on this YouTube channel. If you ever went and looked at my most watched video, it is this one. It is a free voice lesson with over 200,000 views on the video. It still gets about 200 hits a day, and there are ads on it. So if you have an expertise, you can make money just randomly as passive income 5 years later, and people write me on that video and say, hey, do you offer Zoom lessons? I know I don't live anywhere near you, because people from all over the world watch that video. But again, in my experience, finding students in person to tutor all comes down to word of mouth. Online, it's a little bit different, but word of mouth can definitely help. And online, you have the ability to teach anyone. Like, the world is your classroom. Side story really quick before we conclude. Literally yesterday, I was downstairs cleaning. I got a knock on my door. A little girl from down the street here in my neighborhood. She said to me, like, Kristen, I saw some of my high school classmates coming into your house and I think they're taking singing lessons. I would like to do the musical too. I'm only a freshman, but I want to try. Can I take lessons from you too? That isn't word of mouth. That's literally just people seeing, students coming into your home and you walking them out and saying hi to their parents. But it just goes to show you, social media is not the only place that people are watching you. If you are tutoring kids on SAT prep, people are going to talk about that. Parents are going to share. If parent A says, my kid really needs help with the SAT, and you've been helping parent B's kid, they may say, Teacher Melissa really helped my student improve their, scores on the SAT. You should contact her. So it's not all like social media. There is going to be word of mouth and people seeing you. That's my side story, and I'm sticking to it. Number 1, keep everything on one calendar, preferably a digital calendar. That way you can move things around, you're not erasing things. Now, I know that I have put out a teacher planner, but that is solely for me and planning like my day with like shopping lists and personal habits I want to keep. But if it's going to come down to keeping clients and people seeing your schedule and having the access to see schedules if you want them to, keep it all on one digital online calendar. Share, tip number 2 goes off of number 1, share lesson dates with parents so you're both on the same page. So if I walk little Susie out from her Monday lesson and we are going to meet next week, I will send another Google Calendar invite to her parents and I will verbally confirm and I will have them accept the invite. So we've had the verbal exchange and it is now in writing on the calendar. They are in on that calendar invite. My last tip on this is to have your learners pay monthly if possible. This is such a godsend, especially if something comes up, they forget a payment. You don't want to be your own like full-time payroll officer. So for me, as an example, if I teach piano lessons to little Timmy every week on Tuesdays, I have the parents pay for 4 lessons the first Tuesday of that month. Unless we have discussed something, like let's say he's going to be on vacation, so it's going to be 3. Whatever we come up with, have them pay for the entire month. And my last little bonus tip is use like PayPal or Venmo, so it's really easy to offer like multiple ways to receive payment. Some want to pay in cash, great. Some want to pay with check, awesome. But online, it's really nice, super simple, goes straight into your bank account. You don't have to go to an ATM or the bank or scan a check. You are good to go. My final tip to you guys is to protect your time. You are offering them a service. You are not at their beck and call. If someone says to you, oh, they can't do Monday, let's do next Saturday, but you have a rule that you do not teach on Saturdays, it's going to feel really tempting to not be that guy and say no, but I urge you, protect your time. Any teacher watching this, whether they are in the classroom, online, remote, private, will all agree teachers need to protect their time. Teachers, let me know your thoughts on that one down below, but that is my final tip. That is it for this video, you guys. Thank you so much for watching. This has been such a fun video to make, something I never thought I would talk about, but if you have any final thoughts, questions, want to continue the conversation, let me know down below in the comments. Give this video a huge thumbs up and make sure you are subscribed because I do believe, checking this calendar, vlogs are coming back next week. I am so excited to just start documenting my life again. I know I've made a lot of videos about platform updates and tutorials and how things work in the online teaching space, but now I'm just excited to show you guys how I walk the walk and don't just make tutorials on the internet. So if you want to see weekly updates on somebody who is attempting to teach online as a full-time job, make sure you're subscribed and check in next week for my first fall and winter vlog. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Bye!